Hi, and welcome to Kace Notary with Danielle.
Hi, everyone.
Well, we're going to talk about, well, before we get started, we want to say, hope you had a great Thanksgiving. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was wonderful and quiet, just the way I like it.
Okay, good. Awesome. This is the day after Thanksgiving, November 29th, 2024. So I just want to get that out the way. We got a little bit of snow today, so hopefully everybody is safe. So today, what we're going to talk about is different scenarios about things that happen when we're out on assignments.
Yeah, notary stories and solutions.
Yes. That's what we're going to talk about today. So maybe we should just jump right in.
Jump right into it. So we're sitting here. You're probably wondering why we have all this festive stuff on. So we're in the middle of making some make and take stuff. So while we're waiting for our things to set up, we were talking about notary things that might happen in our notary business, things that we see when you're going out into the community. And there can be a number of situations, like you were saying, that could happen that you're like, oh my God, especially if you're by yourself, what do you do?
Yeah, sometimes you have to think quick on your feet, as a matter of fact, too. So, for example, I've been doing lately a lot of assumption loans.
Okay.
So an assumption loan, a lot of times someone else is taking over the loan of the home. Okay, for example. So so that's a lot of people that's getting divorced mainly. So I had this one couple, and we met up at a neutral spot, like a coffee shop, and the ex-wife, she came in, and I felt so bad for her because she's crying, right? And so I'm like, oh my goodness. So she doesn't want this to happen, right? So I asked for her ID, so of course we have to do that. And she gave me her ID, and she already changed her name though to her maiden name. But all the paperwork was in her married name. Okay. So I'm asking her, okay, do you have anything else that's in your married name? And she said, no. First she said no, she changed everything already. So I'm like, but she's crying. So I'm like, oh, we can't come back here. Like, we need to get this done today is what I'm thinking in my mind. Because she's not going to make it.
Right.
So I said, you sure? I was like, can you check? I was like, and I'm just sitting here thinking. And so she starts looking some more, and she came up with a debit card or something like that. And so I said, okay. And I said, okay, so we'll take this. And I wanted 2 pieces, but she didn't have anything else, right? So then I said, well, this is what we're gonna do. On your signature page, your signature affidavit page, on that page, there's a spot a lot of times where you can put in if you're also known as someone else. So what I had her do is write down her married name there, print it, and then sign that under also known as.
Okay.
And I was thinking like, okay, this is gonna have to suffice for her because I could not see bringing this lady back here to try to get this done, and she is really like having a fit. She's shaking, can barely sign her name and everything. So, it worked out. Everything worked out because I had a previous appointment, which made me think of doing this at a closing. And when I talked to the title company, I said, hey, can't we just put this name on the signature affidavit, blah, blah, blah. She was like, that's a great idea. She was like, yes, let's do that. And so I'm like, okay. So sometimes you being a notary, you got to kind of know what to do or think outside the box sometimes.
Okay.
So that's just like one example.
Oh, that was a good thing that you had that experience prior to, that you knew. It's like, okay, wait a minute. I've done this before. I've seen this, and I can apply it to this, and nothing has come back thus far. So
yeah, exactly. So it worked out.
Cool. And sometimes you be in situations like this, like, well, what do I do?
Exactly, because I feel bad. I said, oh, I cannot have this lady come back to this signing table, and she is crying, and she was just like, when I told her I needed something else with her name on it, you should have saw her face. Like, I can't believe this.
After all the trouble she went through to change it and the fact that it was the type of signing that it was, then you're like,
Yes, exactly.
Oh, wow.
So I'm gonna just give one more example of something that happened, and then we can get into maybe you have some examples.
Okay.
But another one that was interesting. I had a couple, and we met at the husband's parents' house. Okay. So I get there. The mother, she's really nice, to me and everything. And I needed 2 forms of ID from the husband.
Okay.
The wife wasn't there yet.
Okay.
And so he only had his ID. And then he said, "Hey, Mom, you got my birth certificate, or, my social security card?" So she says, "Yes." So she goes trying to find things. She comes back with it. And she says to him too, "You're married now. I shouldn't be keeping this anymore." And so I was like, okay. I didn't think nothing of that. I didn't think of it at all. So when the wife came, she came. I was early, so she really wasn't late, but I was a little early. So the wife comes. The mother, she's gone,
right? But
she comes back in, and the wife says hello to her, and she didn't say nothing. And I said, "Oh boy."
So family tension going on.
Yes. So I just kept my head down, like I didn't hear nothing. It was still like signing my name, the stamp, and all that. But I saw at the corner of my eye, she looked at the husband like she didn't even say nothing. And so I was like, I'm not gonna act like I'm not gonna acknowledge that.
Keep it moving. Keep it moving.
Yes, keep it moving. I said I couldn't believe she didn't say nothing. I was like, ooh. So that made me think maybe that's why she said too, I don't need to be holding on to this stuff. You're married. But I didn't think anything of that comment at the time. But I was just like, oh, I gotta hurry up and get up out of here.
Like, right. So what do you do when you have family tension or tension at the table and you have to be the rational one, the calm one, and have that emotional intelligence? It's like, I'm here to do a job. That's it. I can't get into all these other things that's going on. Let me sign. Next time I can get out of here.
Yes.
So sometimes you might be in situations like that.
Luckily, I've never been in nothing, real intense or anything like that. Like she didn't say anything, so nothing ever happened or anything. And we were almost done with the signing anyway at that point, because the wife only had like 2 or 3 pages to sign, and me and her husband had already started the signing with him signing everything.
Okay.
So when that happened, we were basically almost done.
Okay.
So I was able to go ahead and leave. But I was like, oh my God, but it was a beautiful home and all of that too. But it was just like, she didn't say nothing. I couldn't believe it.
So sometimes you might think, okay, you're in a notary business. All my job is
yes,
is to witness, and other stuff happen. What do you do with those other social situations?
Yeah, you gotta know. You gotta think quick on your feet, or knowing not to say nothing. Sometimes it's good not to say anything.
Yeah, keep it professional. Keep it. This. I'm here to do a job. No comments. No nothing.
Exactly.
And sometimes you might be making small talk with your customers or what have you. Ask them how they're doing, or they make a comment and stuff. But you're there to be professional. Get the job done and move on.
Exactly. So what about you?
Well, I will say Celine is definitely more experienced than I, but the times where I've had situations, per se, I think I mentioned to this you before, where the family is sort of trying to coerce.
Okay.
Coerce. Am I saying that right?
Coerce, yes.
In a hospital setting, and the gentleman is sitting in the bed, and he has, I don't know if it was his son or, no, actually siblings.
Okay.
Siblings trying to sign off or be power of attorneys or what have you over his finances and his health. And I'm sitting here asking them, and so you're doing this on your own free will. The clue to that he was not happy, Celine, is when he gave me the side eye.
Oh, wow.
And I'm sitting there going, and he looked at me like, he didn't respond. After he signed it, you understand? He looked at me like, he ain't say nothing.
Okay.
And at that point, I was like, ooh. Okay. He ain't happy about this situation.
Right.
And he was to the point where he couldn't sign his name.
Okay.
And the sibling, the brother, was trying to hold his hand. I said, no.
No, yeah, can't hold on one's hand.
Trying to hold his hand and to sign the document. And then the one of the family members, I want to say it was the brother, said, "Oh, well, can you step out for a moment?"
Okay.
That was
right. Red flag.
Red flag. The first red flag was him giving me the side eye.
Mm-hmm.
The second red flag was, can you step out? No, because you wanted to sign it, try to sign it. My thought was, you want to try and sign it on his behalf and have me to come back
and say what he signed it or something like that, which he got to sign in front of you
anyway. Exactly.
So that wouldn't work. Yeah.
Exactly.
Now sometimes what I do in that situation, instead of him asking you to step out, I would have said something like, "You all step out and let me speak to him by himself," and then that way you could really find out from him what's going on.
At the time, there's like 3 siblings in the room, and him trying to do that, and he wasn't very verbal at all. He might have spoken to me, you're right, but it didn't even get to that point.
Okay.
Because guess what I did?
You said, no can do.
Not today.
I gotta
go. I say, you know what? No, I'm not feeling comfortable about this. Packed up my little stuff, and the family, understood.
Okay. Yeah.
And I walked away from it.
Okay, yeah. Sometimes you have to say no if it's not, right. And sometimes you can tell in your gut too. So yeah, if he didn't give you a verbal or a nod, if you're saying he couldn't really talk well or something like that.
I can't say he couldn't talk, or just what his nonverbal language was saying was like, I don't want to do this.
Okay.
And I'm not agreeing to it, but maybe he's trying to be nice to me.
Right. Could be.
So, and I didn't want to force the issue or what have you. And I'm like, no.
Okay.
Not today.
Not today.
So when you run into situations like that where you have to walk away, you ever had to walk away?
Yeah, I definitely had to walk away before when they weren't coherent. So, and I ask on the phone too, is the person coherent? And they'll tell you yes anyway when they're not. So you kind of have to go find out for yourself for the most part. But I asked this question before I went there.
Okay.
And they said, yeah, he was. And I said, okay. And I get there. He didn't know what was going on. He was saying like off the wall comments. Like, I guess he thought I think he had dementia. So he was saying things that weren't present day. Like, I can't remember exactly right now what it was. Right. So I'm trying to ask him questions. Did he know what he's signing and things like that? And I think he said something else like he was signing I'm gonna sign something. And I'm like, what is that? What is he talking about?
Right.
So then I think I asked him next, like, what year it was, and he didn't know. So, things like that. And he just was not, he didn't know. I think he couldn't tell me his last name either, if I'm not